Welcome to Live from the Garden. I'm Karina, creator of the Let Us Live Edible Garden movement. Together we will tour backyard, farms, rooftops, and other inviting spaces, all with the hopes of inspiring you to get out and get growing.
When you first decided to grow, was that at your home where you're living now? Is that your first edible?
It is where I'm living now, and it's in the same, we should have a chance to look at it, but it's in that same spot, and it was slightly smaller and falling apart. It wasn't very well done, but I was trying to do a thing. So this summer I decided, let's make it a better thing, and you'll see. So, and now, I think a part of it too is the pride, right? If
Right.
you do something well, you put in the time, then you're going to want to keep working on it and making it better, and expanding, even because you feel, that was a job well done. I really need to keep this up and keep going. The sky's the limit.
Absolutely. And so you have a few indoor plants. Does that translate or help you, or did that help you any with growing outdoors?
I must say the outdoors happened pretty much before the indoor. I had like one indoor plant to begin with, to tell you the truth. And then I expanded this year into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now I have 7 indoor plants. So not huge indoor person. I feel like they're more finicky because most of the plants we keep indoors, right? They're for the tropics.
Yep.
So they require so much more. So I find that what I have outside, as long as I treat them, with respect. So this year is a year of a lot of firsts. And I think that's true for a lot of people. So I started composting this year. So, you put your compost in, no more bag compost for me. So we have so much food waste, right? Why are we throwing these things away when they could go right back into the earth? So I've been composting, and I find that is so easy. You grab your compost, you mix it in with your soil, and you're good to go. And water, and then there's rain. So outdoors, it's so easy, and the plants you have are usually, if you choose properly and plant at the right times, they're fine where they are, and they're good to go. These indoor plants, they are no joke. They will kick your butt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a few, and they're great, but definitely they're harder, but they're worth it. You have to choose the plants based on, so there's some that are easy. I'm gonna backtrack. They're hard because I picked the hard ones.
Yeah. We too.
So
Dramatics. We want the plants with the dramatics, right?
yes, so the plants I have are pretty dramatic. It seems like I go for trouble in the house, but you want something a little different. But I have some easy ones too, and I can, should I show you guys what I have going on here? So I collected them and put them all in pretty much one spot just so that I can show you. So this is a jade plant that I was telling Karina about. It's actually a cutting from a plant that I left at an old job. Back in 2008, I had my child and stayed home and left my plant at the job. Went back to the job maybe 8 years afterwards. And my coworker kept that plant. She gave me a cutting of my own plant to take home. And then this is the lovely girl. So this jade is about 19 years old. So it's pretty amazing.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
amazing. 19 years?
Yes. Oh, these plants are known to be old ladies. Yeah. So they last pretty long, and this is a cutting of the original. So it's more horizontal, but you can definitely have jades that stand up better. But because this is a cutting, it tends to lie down a little bit more. And then this is the ZZ plant that everybody raves about. And as you can see, I have some beautiful new shoots. And this one, for any beginner, this is superb. You basically can't kill this plant. You don't even have to, it takes care of itself. It doesn't need a lot of light. It doesn't need a lot of water. It really doesn't need, if you forget about it, it's probably not gonna die. Obviously, it's a living thing, so you still have to water it, but it's an amazing plant to have. Pardon?
I said, that is beautiful.
Yes, it's a really love it, love it, love it. And I heard a lot of people talking about it. And I said, why haven't I heard about this before? And I have to get one. And I went to my local nursery and there it was. So I grabbed this guy and they can get pretty big. So I'll probably transplant it in the summer. And because it just keeps growing. It just keeps getting new shoots. Just every week, I'm seeing new things happening. And then I have a finicky guy everybody talks about. It's the fiddle leaf fig. I started with a small one to see if it will survive in my hands before I make the investment of a big one. If you know fiddle leaf figs, they can stand on the ground and be as tall as this ceiling. So
you actually you went hard. You weren't joking when you said you went most complicated and dramatic.
Yes. Oh, and the fiddle leaf fig doesn't like to be moved around, and I picked it up and brought it in here for this live. So hopefully it does fine. I've moved it around before. I've had it all since summer. This is a new leaf. It's doing well. So
it's gorgeous. Yeah. It looks healthy. It's nice and glossy. Hold on. Yes. I have how is it spelled? Deborah, are you talking about the ZZ plant? If the ZZ, it's just if you Google Z, the two letter ZZs, then that one, I think that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's the one she's shown. So
this one is the ZZ plant, and yeah. It's spelled just the letter Z twice, and right. Put plant after it so that it won't bring up some other Z's. But okay. ZZ plant, the biological name is pretty tough, so we just say ZZ. Yeah. But if you want to say it out, you can.
No, I can't. But Deborah, she said that's it. Yeah. So just Google Z and the letter Z, 2 Z's, and yes, the ZZ plant is amazing. But wait till you see her other plants. That's the ones you need. Those, like, I'm fascinated by the other one. All right, let's go.
So now I have 3 plants from the same family. So they're Calathea. I think this particular variety is the medallion. I might be wrong because there's another name for it. But anyway, this one I got from my baby sister. She's 30, so she's a baby to me anyway. I got this from my baby sister in October. And you see the underneath. That's what's so beautiful about them too. So the Calathea plant is notorious for being finicky. One thing you'll find about them is that when you read up on them, people will say you have to give them distilled water or filtered water or rainwater. True. In some ways, I have given them filtered water from my fridge, or you can boil some water. But I've also, if I show you the rattlesnake one, I've given this one regular water with no trouble before I knew that you might want to use special water. I haven't had any issue with this. And again, look at the underleaf.
Okay.
So gorgeous.
You forgot the most important part on why you like those plants. What do they do? What makes them fascinating?
So they're called prayer plants because at night, the leaves fold up into like praying hands. So at night, you're basically seeing the undersides. They close up like this at night. And it's the most gorgeous thing to see. And if you're not expecting it, you're thinking, what happened to my plant? Am I not watering it? Is it not getting sun? What's happening? But it just closes up at night and then releases in the mornings.
Show us
with
the
the
underside of the other calathea, the pink one, or that one.
So this one, also gorgeous, and the underside is also a deep purple. So just very beautiful plants. I must say that the praying is more dramatic with this rattlesnake, but these do go up as well, but just not as dramatic, in my opinion, as the rattlesnake. And what I absolutely love about this is that the striation is pink, which I think is so stunning. But that's it for my, well, I do have a rubber plant in my bathroom, but it is huge, so I won't bring that down. But that's it for my indoor plants. And I'm gonna keep it at this number for now and see what happens in the spring, summer. I might have other ideas, but right now I'm keeping it simple.
Yes, I'm kind of like you. I think we have pretty much the same plants, but I want to get that snake calathea. Is that what I really?
Yeah, the rattlesnake calathea.
Yes.
So awesome. I love it. Oh, somebody came to say hello. Say hi, Cooper.
Handsome. In regards to distilled water, or I heard the same thing. I've never any of my plants because they don't work and they don't bring in any sort of income. They get distilled water. What they do is rainwater that I'll catch, or I will get some water from the faucet, let it sit for a couple of days so that the chlorine and the other things can rest in it. And that's about it. Unfortunately, in my house, they've never and probably will never receive bottled or fresh spring water or whatever it is that they say.
Exactly. I agree.
They can't survive.
They'll survive fine. They'll survive fine, and sitting overnight is perfect. I just grab it from the fridge because I know I'll forget the following day to water the plants if I don't do it right away. So I just give them the water from the fridge, and they like that. So from the door, the filtered water from the door.
Yeah, from the refrigerator. Okay, why don't you grab your jacket, because I know it's really, really cold out there, and we're going to tour her area. And you all, what I do want you to do is hop over to her page. I think it was 2 days ago or yesterday you posted that video or picture.
Oh, yesterday.
So go to her page, Topiary Lavender, and look at how gorgeous her yard looks in the springtime. The reason today, as she mentioned early in the show, she said she didn't think that she really had what we were looking for our show, but I want to show people the realistic part of gardening and gardening in different zones and different areas. She's been presented with a couple of challenges. She lives on a slope, and so she's had to improvise. Lisa has tried to improvise, and I want you to know that you too may have to improvise. And as you can see, she has that wooded area, but gardening is not always lush and pretty all year long in some zones. And
the slope.
we have been fortunate enough to grow 12 months out of the year. But in Houston in August and September, it's brutally, brutally hot, and a lot of people don't want to during that time. So let's look at what Lisa has and tell us about your challenge with the slope and your idea in building that.
So it's really hard to see. I don't think you guys can appreciate the slope. I wish I had brought something to roll down the hill, but basically I'm gonna tilt the camera, and that's basically the slope. That's how my yard slopes. Like, maybe if I step down into it, then you can kind of see how you kind of have to look up
Yes.
into the garden. The slope is pretty bad. So basically we had to build a flat area to create the kitchen garden right here. And that's my kitchen up there. So it's really nice. You run out the door, you run right here, and there's actually some green in here. I have no idea what that is, but that might be garlic. But there is still some stuff in here, but we won't, we're done for the year. There's nothing here because I didn't plant any cold weather plants, and it's been cold for a while anyway, so I don't think we'd have anything. But
And so
this is my little edible garden.
So you brought in soil. Kind of take us through your thought process and
So
that up.
yeah, so the process here, I did have an initial raised garden before I added these blocks. So there was this rickety little, basically something I bought from Lowe's, which was like a plastic retainer bed. And I filled that in with organic soil and mixed in compost and so on, and created my first little edible garden a couple years back. And I didn't like the way it looked. I didn't like having plastic there. And I didn't like the footprint. It wasn't as big as this, so I extended this out a little bit more so I could pack more in. And then this is deeper too, so I could get more soil and really be able to till better and do more, because it had a divider in the middle that kind of prevented me from doing what I needed to do as well. And then having the space around it to walk was also important. So I created this graveled area so that I could walk around and tend to the garden and harvest as I needed to. But as you can see, it's really small.
About extending, you mentioned that you're going to add some additional beds because your mom is now, you're going to build a couple things for her so that she can become more involved or have her own space for gardening, right?
Exactly. So as we proceed down the hill, Cooper is ahead of us because he thinks it's a game. But as you can see, you can kind of see how steep it is by that thing rolling down. He doesn't seem to care. But anyway, I was thinking it gets a lot of sun back here. I think it would be really great. So doesn't really look like it, but we can definitely try to flatten this area a bit, at least where the beds are, or even position them in a way where it won't matter. And just put two beds, basically one here and one over here. And so it will basically span the backyard, and we'll have the two, this dog is crazy. And we'll have the two beds here. And we're going to plant sorrel, as I said before. He's crazy. We're going to.
And does he dig into, do you find him digging into your garden? Or?
Never.
That's good.
Never. He's a good boy. He really listens to me. I'm the alpha in the family, he thinks. So, well, I think I kind of am. So anyway, I'll turn this around a bit. If I tell him don't do that, he just won't do it. So I think when he was a puppy, the first time he tried to dig something, I just said, oh no, naughty, don't do it. And he doesn't dig. His feet are very strong. So when he runs, so you have to kind of tell him don't walk in the garden, because when he runs, he actually digs because of the power in which he runs. So he's definitely a big, strong boy, but good dog. He never digs anything, so we're lucky.
And I
We're
wanted to
definitely
mention that
lucky.
because people that have dogs sometimes think, well, I can't have raised beds, or, I can't have a garden because my dog will dig it up or eat it. So
Hmm.
that's the reason I mentioned that you can still have a garden.
Yeah. Yeah, and we definitely reward him for being good, and that helps a lot. I mean, they're very smart animals. So if you just keep doing positive reinforcement, they'll basically, he's gonna run me over. He's so excited to be outside because we don't come outside much. We send him out, but we don't join him because it's so cold this time. So he's very excited. But yeah, we've no problem with the dog. I think a dog is the best thing you could have in the garden with you because they're your companion. If you were normally gardening by yourself, then the dog will always be happy to be out there with you. He's my constant companion. He'll push down the door to get outside with me.
Yeah, and I think your point about teaching your dog is, I think, in integrating your entire family. That's included. Consider what they would like to grow or what they would eat, so that they involve.
Yes, my son loves peppers. He just loves spice. And since he was really little, which is very strange. But anyway, he just really loves it. So I'm definitely going to get some hot peppers out there because I know he'll be interested if we add some peppers to the mix. So um, that's going to be exciting to do. So everybody's going to be involved.
That's
Everyone's going to love it.
And so when you're not gardening, as we wrap up the show, when you're not gardening,
Mm-hmm.
what do you enjoy doing? What do you enjoy spending your time doing?
Oh, oh my God. I must say, for enjoyment, gardening is my main thing, but really hanging out with my family. I also have a day job, which takes a lot of my time. So gardening is really, it's a cliche. Everybody says it, but it's really my therapy. I don't know how I would have made it through all the trials. And, we can talk about 2020, but I mean, people have trouble all the time. And definitely it's been my savior kind of. I've actually just getting out here and just communing with nature has been so good for me. And so in the wintertime, it's a little bit harder, but you have your loved ones, you have everything, so you can pull it together. But definitely in the summertime, I get lost out here. People say, how can you spend so many hours doing that hard work? I'm just thinking, I don't think of it as work. Yeah. And that's the difference.
Yeah, it gives back. It definitely gives.
Yeah.
And so, if you could visit any green space in the world, have you thought about a green space or a space outdoors or a garden that you would love to visit?
I haven't given that much thought, but I must say, wherever I go, I always look. You know how you do your research before you travel and you want to see, what green space can I visit while I'm there? And I'm always able to find somewhere to go see. We were in California, we drove all the way up, is it called Route 1? Whatever it is, up the coast, from LA to San Francisco. And we basically stopped in every place, even on the side of the road, just to climb up a hill and just look at wildflowers or whatever. And the year we went was an especially good year in California. People were saying that they've never seen so much bloom in California. They got more rain than normal. And so the hillsides would just be yellow from like the wildflowers just blooming everywhere. And we were so lucky to be able, I mean, my husband was a little bit annoyed that I wanted to stop everywhere, but But that was the point of driving up the coast. That's
It's
what we said. We're going to stop when we're tired. We're going to stay at a hotel and move on to the next and the next.
the beauty of nature. I hope to be invited to farm on Oprah's farm in Hawaii.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yes.
want to be invited because I want to be able to stay a couple of days and work with the farmer and learn their gardening techniques and see what they're, how they're growing, what they're growing, how they harvest. I want to spend days that. And then I also want to be invited to the Queen's uh, uh, castle because she does everything organic from the
Oh, that's amazing.
pest control, all of that. So those are the two places that I would absolutely love, love, love. Those are on my bucket lists to go. And then if we came to Connecticut, where should we go and eat? I know we're in different times with COVID, but where should we visit an eating place? Like what's one of your favorite places to eat?
Oh my gosh, it's so interesting that you should ask that. One of my favorite places just closed because of COVID. So the pandemic caused it to close, and it was a farm to table place. It did a lot in the environment. It's hopefully they'll reopen at some point, but they're called Firebox, and they had been open for years. I remember going there when I was pregnant, and basically everything was from local farms, and the menu would actually say where they got those ingredients from. The food was seasonal, so you're not getting your butternut squash in, you know, May. Um, it was really good. And then they would have farmers markets in their parking lot. They did so much good, and I'm so sorry to see them go, but they do have another little place, less fancy, but the food is still good. I heard, because I haven't tried this one, but next door to it is a place called Kitchen, and these are both in downtown Hartford, but unfortunately Firebox is closed. But Firebox meant so much to me, so hopefully they'll be able to reopen.
I hope.
But definitely, yeah, but definitely that's good. And in New Haven there's Zinc, which is a seed to table that I love, and that's been around since the early 2000s. My husband and I used to go on dates there when we were, in our early 20s. And well, I was in my early 20s. um, but yes, and very good. And it's nice when, the chef, you can talk to the chef, you can talk about what you want, and that the food is fresh and local and wonderful. So highly, highly recommend Zinc. And funny, Zinc has a Zinc kitchen too. So there's a trend with the farm to table, and the Zinc actually started out as a farm to table, and they switch how they call it. They change it to seed
Okay.
to table, just to say that they actually know how it started. It's not just, So I appreciate that about them. And they use local fisheries and so on too. So, and then these restaurants also, they thoughtfully add non-meat dishes that are not just thrown together. Here you go, here's a salad, they have very thoughtful vegetarian or vegan options, gluten-free, whatever, which I find to be amazing. And if there isn't something on the menu, you can just say, hey, can you do this thing for me? And which I really appreciate in restaurants, because a lot of places won't try to accommodate you in that fashion. So
So
definitely.
Firebox and Farm to Seed.
So Firebox is the one that just closed, but I have high hopes that they'll reopen. Zinc in New Haven, that one is the seed to table, and it is called Zinc as the element, as the metal, zinc. So really, really excellent.
All right. Well, you all, if you are in the Hartford, Connecticut area, visit those places, support those restaurants that are trying to support growers and farmers. That is so important. Important. Deborah said, "Do you grow lavender?"
I do have lavender in my yard, and lavender is a little hard for Connecticut. So you definitely
Yeah.
need to get a hardy variety and location for lavender. It doesn't like its feet wet, right? So you don't want to get it in anywhere soggy that doesn't have good great drainage. You need good drainage, good sun. I actually plant mine against along the strip by my driveway. And if you look at that video that I posted yesterday on Instagram, you'll actually see that garden. I had already harvested the lavender, so you're not going to see lavenders in bloom, but they're definitely along that strip by the driveway because I have a lot of shade in my yard, and Connecticut doesn't get, I mean, it does get hot, but it's not lavender likes the nice heat, and for a place like Connecticut, it definitely, it definitely thrives when you get in the hottest part of your yard. Maybe not so in Texas. Maybe it's a little bit too hot in Texas, but in Connecticut, it really appreciates that. So I planted along the driveway, but I'm gonna try to plant some internally, but at full sun. Um, this spring and see what happens. But yep, there's lavender. I love it. I'm allergic to everything, by the way, so they stay outside. I can't bring my lavender in,
Oh,
but
allergic to a lot of stuff too. I'm allergic to all the grass and trees in Texas. So, yeah.
feel your pain. I feel your pain.
I still go out. Well,
Yes.
well, thank you so much for joining us live from the garden in Canyon, Texas, and Rock Hill, Connecticut. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate your time. You all, tell us one more time where we can find you.
So you can find me on Instagram at Topiary Lavender and also on Facebook, Topiary Lavender.
And
So I had a blog going, but it kind of slowed down. So I won't give you the website until I get it back up.
tell us, well, I do want you to tell us about your husband's page, because if anybody is struggling with diabetes, and hopefully if you look at his page, it may inspire you to start growing as well. What's the name of his page?
His page is Black and Diabetic, and I'll tell you why just real quickly. It was important for him to have that handle because we find that people of color, especially Black men, do not take care of their health when it comes to diabetes, especially. They think that, it's okay, I'll just take the medication that's given to me. And when my husband was diagnosed, he was prescribed medication. And for the first week or two, he did take it because it was so out of control that it was a medical emergency. But he was determined to change his lifestyle by eating and exercising, because exercise does force the intake of insulin. So it is, exercise is important, but diet is a major part of this. And if you follow him, listen to his story, it's so inspirational. He gets messages all the time like, I have to share you with my friend because I'm worried about him, he needs your help. Or someone will say, you do not know how long I've been looking for someone with my story. So definitely check him out, it's so important.
Yeah, so follow his Black and Diabetic. Somebody said yes, live-a-betic. I guess they mean like once you're diagnosed, you're living and thriving. I totally agree. So you all, thank you so much. Again, we are live every Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Time. If you know of somebody else that's growing an edible garden or is growing vegetables outside and herbs and indoor plants as well, and you think they should be on our show and they bring value to our community, please tag us, tag them, tell us who you'd like to see on the show. I thank everyone so much. Lisa, I thank you for your time. Thank you for bearing the cold with us and going outside and showing us around. And if there's a huge takeaway is uh, start small, uh, try to engage your family in what you're growing, and overcome the challenges. You had the slope and you have the harsh winters, but you've not given up. You persevered, and now you're growing. And hopefully, we'll see your husband out there harvesting this spring.
Fingers crossed. If I plant the right thing.
Yes, and know your season. Know what you should be growing at the right time of season. So, without further ado, you all live from Canyon, Texas, and Rock Hill, Connecticut. Thank you so much. You all remember, lets us live. Have a fabulous day. Go outside, get some sunshine, and breathe some fresh air. Take care.
Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye.
If you found this episode inspiring, please tell others about the Let Us Live Edible Garden series. For more inspiring stories and garden tips, visit letuslive.org, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. I'll see you live from the garden, and remember, lettuce lets us live.